Alright, so let's say you worked at a company and you wanted to rise up to where the boss is at. The CEO, we may call it. How do you think we're going to get there?
Well, through hard work, determination, and honesty!
Well, you are correct. And when I say you're correct, I mean you're bloody wrong to the face, mate. When you're climbing your way to the top of most major companies, there's unfortunately a dark trend that occurs along the way. I'm not saying most people get their power, follow the rules in Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power, but they aren't reading the book called Everybody Wins either to get the power they want. And I'm not gonna hide it. When I first read this book, it did sound kinda weird and a little bit of evil. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I found this book in a supervillain's lair somewhere. But this book is just a collection of laws based on a historical moment that has helped people gain the power they desire. These laws are just immoral, meaning there isn't really a sense of right or wrong. They're just laws, focused on ways you can increase your own influence over any situation you get yourself into, regardless of how moral it may be. And rather than going through all 48 laws, I just selected a few laws worth mentioning that relates to ways you can climb the ladder in any place you work at. Now the first one we're going to go through is Law 2, which is never put too much trust in friends and learn how to use your enemies. You ever tried working with a friend before? Well, if you haven't, it could bloody suck sometimes because you're not used to telling them what to do. You're just used going out to bars with them and doing stupid things together. And the moment things get bad in business, you might find your friend betraying you by telling others your darkest secrets. Instead, Greene recommends hiring or working with your enemies because they have a lot to prove and it can be great insight because they want to gain your trust and will do whatever it takes to make that happen. And I bet the very thing you're wondering now is that you don't have any enemies. But enemies don't have to be someone who wants to cut your head off. It can be competition, someone who took your promotion, or that guy who stole your sandwich. Now the next is Law 7, which is get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Now this is a pretty simple concept. Thomas Edison was an expert at this after all. He knew how to find others, put them in one of his laboratories, and then take credit for whatever they invented. At first glance, this seems like a pretty messed up concept to gain power because it's like cheating and something that a supervillain would do. But think of it this way. How often has your manager presented work that you've done, thus making your manager look good? And if your manager looks good because of your work, he awards you for it. Despite how messed up this actually is, it's actually a common practice. So whether you get interns, virtual assistants, or co-workers to do the work for you, always take the credit and then award the people who did the work for you. Maybe buy them Starbucks or a movie ticket. The next is Law 11, which is learn to keep people dependent on you. While working at the company, you want to make yourself look as good as possible. That means you want to make yourself appear in a way that the boss can't get rid of you. You want to be the guru, and no one wants to be the wanker who can easily be replaced the moment he makes a mistake. So find something no one else is willing to touch in the company and make yourself an expert at it. Find a weak boss and show you can do things that he can't do, such as public speaking or writing professional memos. Just create a situation where without you, everything will collapse.
Now the fourth law we're going to talk about is Law 12, which is use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim.
Alright, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This basically means sucking up. This is when you build a fake relationship with someone in order to exploit them. This is where you find people weaknesses, such as Julie's tendency to be late to work, Joe's alcoholic problems, or Shelly's gambling addiction, and accidentally exploiting them to other people. Of course, most people consider this approach evil, and I wouldn't blame them. You're pretty much manipulating someone to reveal their own personal flaws, just so you can tell someone in power about them, thus making yourself appear the better candidate for a promotion. Law 34 is going to be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated by one. I don't care what anyone else says, most people judge others based on their appearance alone. Look, if I showed you a picture of this man and this man, which one would you naturally feel safe with? Well, obviously the suited man, of course. But little did you know that he was an axe-murderer, as the other guy, which is a simple nice fella who had nothing else to wear while doing his laundry. The way you reveal yourself to others will be the way they treat you. If you want to be treated with respect and be more likable at work, wear nice fitting clothing, be properly groomed, and smile. That's all it really takes. By just bringing a good appearance, people won't even bother to check your background unless it's necessary. The next is Law 41, which is avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. How often do you see someone excelling over someone who is considered the first of doing anything? When you first think of basketball, the face you most likely picture is Michael Jordan. When you first think of computer geniuses, you probably think of Bill Gates, or maybe Steve Jobs in some cases. When you think of horror book writers, you probably think of Stephen King. If you're trying to copy someone who's already accomplished something great, you'll only be seen as a copycat, or someone who didn't even think of an original idea to begin with. If you follow someone else's steps, do it in a way that makes you different than the person that you're copying. Otherwise, establish your own name by changing the course entirely. That's the way to shine over your master. And Law 43 is going to be, work on the hearts and minds of others.
Alright, so this is going to be the last law I'm going to mention. You can't force anyone to do the things they don't want to do. And if you force them, they're just going to do a sloppy job at it. Instead, you have to persuade people to follow your directions and beliefs. If you can find a way to make a goal seem desirable, you'll get people to work 10 times harder while even asking them to do so. But how can you make someone want to complete a goal you have in mind? You take advantage of their psychological weaknesses by making it appear they're actually doing you the favor. Work on their emotions by stating there's a greater cause other than just for money or whatever they want. People operate on their emotions, whether it be out of fear or happiness. But let them lean on happiness if you want to see them thrive for greatness and make a company into a greater place than it is now. Well, I hope you feel better, buddy, because that's the basic sums of the 48 Laws of Power. And this book does a great job at explaining the logic and mindset of people who play these games to get power.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed. If you have a book you want to see in the future, be sure to hit a comment below and subscribe. And as Henry Miller wrote in the book In My Life, a book lying idle on a shelf is wasted ammunition.